Joining me now is Annie Cyrus. Check out this headline right here. Britain just crowned Palestine. From Balfour to Hamas, the UK never stopped carving fake nations to create control and to keep control. She joins us now. Annie, man, the number of countries that keep declaring a Palestinian state, but where is this country? It really should be over in Jordan, should it not?
Technically, it should be never existed, doesn't exist. We should have stopped making up countries.
But didn't the British mandate put them over in Jordan?
I was about to say, but if we want to go technically by rules of United Kingdom, yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is this just anti-Semitism? Is it what is driving this?
Part of it is anti-Semitism, but as I mentioned on my show earlier today on your network, huge part of it is that we are ruled by cowards, Brannon. We are ruled by cowards. And when I say we, yes, that includes United States of America. In order to appease the enemy out of fear, they're giving into enemy's demands.
Well, this is what Peter Pry, the late Peter Pry, and I talked about many times. At what point is America going to be blackmailed? In other words, Iran or Hezbollah or IRGC, which is part of Iran, so is Hezbollah, any of these groups, tell us this is what we can do. This is what we can do to you. And now this is what we expect in order not to do that. And we talked about that, whether it's Iran shooting something at us from Venezuela, where they've been flying flights from Tehran into Caracas, Venezuela, 1,264 miles as the crow flies from northern Venezuela to Miami, whether it's Club K cargo systems that could be here in the U.S. already, with the top coming up and 2, 3, 4 silos on them, with missiles can go off, or on cargo ships that come up into the Gulf of America. At what point are we being blackmailed? How about the 2 North Korean satellites that circle the globe and come over the U.S. that Dr. Peter Price said is better than 50% chance one or more of those has a nuclear weapon on board, right? So at what point are we being blackmailed? When you say what you just did, it makes me think blackmail. What do our leaders know? What have they been told they're not telling us? And by the way, now you have the government coming out saying, and we've got the report here, to be aware of terrorist attacks, multiple teams coming at one time. Oh, wow, that's something. We've been talking about that, you and I and others, for years. And all of a sudden they want to tell us?
Before we get to what you just said as your last statement, which country are we talking about? Because I believe United States of America government started being blackmailed. Okay, some administrations were blackmailed, some administrations were willingly cooperating, but it started from September 12, 2001. That's when the blackmail started.
So the day after 9/11.
The rush to the microphones for the Islam is a religion of peace. This had nothing to do with Islam. From there on, I literally have spent so much time that I barely have looking at the ladder from September 11 until today. The pattern is there. Brannon, that was it, including spreading the rumors of inside job. Mossad was behind it. The hijackers weren't even Arab Muslims. All of that was pushed as blackmail. This is the narrative you're going to push. This is the narrative you're going to say. These are the 501c3 status you're going to issue for all of the mosque, CARE, ESNA, and all of them. The pattern is pretty clear that the blackmail started literally day after September 11, because on that day, they did show America what they can do. They showed America the vulnerabilities that our government never even looked into. But I want to be very clear. Some of the administrations have not been blackmailed. Some of the administrations have cooperated willingly.
Mm-hmm. So multiple countries now are calling for and saying we're recognizing a Palestinian state.
As of right now, United Kingdom, Canada, Canada. Woo! And I have a question about Canada, Brannon. Is Trump administration going to change rules and regulations of travels from Canada to U.S.? Because I want to see that happening. Based on Canada just joining the countries of acknowledging a state of Palestine, I think we need to change our just come to the border, show your Canadian passport, and come to America. I think that needs to be changed because we can't.
You make a great point in your article over at liveuptofreedom.substack.com. The Balfour Declaration, that's something we've talked about here for so many years, which ended up leading to the San Rios Agreement in the 1920s, which was a collection of nations that recognized the right of the state of Israel. Now, it didn't come about until May of 48, but we can go back to 1917, the San Rios Conference, 1922 in that area off the top of my head. These are important documents. Most people know nothing about them unless they're like you and me and they work in the field or they're historians. But as you point out, in the middle of war, but they should know about them. And by the way, Israel, I often say sometimes is the worst at public relations and even talking about the San Rios Conference and these others and the Balfour Declaration. They should be screaming this stuff from the rooftop, but you did it. Thank you. 1917, the Balfour Declaration, in the middle of World War I, Britain issued a letter promising the Jewish people a national home in the land then called Philistine, or Palestine, as they say it today, an Ottoman district, not a state. At the same time, London was cutting deals with Arab leaders for the same territory. It was classic British double game. Promise both sides everything, then sit back while the chaos kept Britain in control. Speak to that.
Yes, and that's the thing. I backed it up with more samples because you know how I am. It wasn't the one time, but again, I mentioned on my show today, I said Britain is standing today claiming that what they just did helped keep the two-state solution on the table and took a step closer toward peace between Israel and Palestine. What they failed to say is, no, we just added fuel to the fire we started in 1917 because we were losing control. They're not going to admit to that. They're not going to say, listen, we just did this because since 1917 until today, we started losing grip on both ends. We lost control of PLO because Hamas got involved, and then we clearly lost control of Jewish people because we betrayed them.
Right.
So we needed to add fuel to the fire. That's what Britain just did.
Well, I looked it up. I thought it was 1922, but it was 1920. The San Remo Conference was an international meeting of the post-World War I Allied Supreme Council as an outgrowth of the Paris Peace Conference. And they met in 1920. The San Remo Resolution passed on April 25th, 1920, determined the allocation of a Class A League of Nations mandates for the administration of 3 then undefined Ottoman territories in the Middle East, Palestine, Syria, and the Mesopotamia. The boundaries of the 3 territories were determined as later by the principal allied powers, leaving the status outlying areas there, blah, blah, blah. But what it went on to show is that there was the right of the Jewish people to their land, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. And again, the argument has always been, I mean, you know better than me because you have covered this extensively on your programming, but there is the argument of biblical right to the land. Mm-hmm. And then there's the historical argument of right to the, no matter which side you look at it, from geography, history, biblical point of view, Quranic point of view, the argument is Israeli Jews have the right to the land. Palestinians, Palestinian never existed. But the problem is nowadays, Brannon, people don't care about history or geography or Bible for sure. And they don't pick up the Quran and read it either. They just want peace. Peace. Where do I find peace? As we speak right now, they wrapped up the first day of the 80th UN General Assembly in New York. Day 1 wrapped up. We still have 7 days to go because it's going to go until September 30th. Their slogan, how did they fund this 80 years ago? Again, on the ashes of the war, bunch of people from a bunch of countries said, hey, if we create this UN General Assembly where we allow all the leaders of the governments and the states come together and debate their issues, we can come to peace. That's how it was created. 80 years later, there is no debate. There are a bunch of people who get behind a podium and a microphone, talk about themselves, talk about their issues, bash the other person, and go sit down. And today, for first time in New York, under Trump administration, a man who was hunted and wanted by U.S. government for so long, had a bounty of up to $10 million on his head, showed up as one of the speakers of UN General Assembly of 2025. What do I even do with that? Okay, I can sit here and say Canada, the government terrible, UK is conquered, France has been always an Islam appeaser. I can do all of that, Brannon, but what do I say about Trump administration, President Trump, Trump's immigration that we've been cheering all along, issued a visa for Jelani and his entire Islamic Al-Qaeda-tied team to arrive in New York on September 22nd, 2025, with a red carpet in front of them to attend UN General Assembly.
Yeah, I want to show you a little video here. Because again, did you ever think you'd see the day that a ISIS leader was welcomed into the U.S. with the red carpet? But here we go. Al-Qaeda, yeah. Here we go, if it'll play. Well, it's not going to play. But when it does play, I'll play it. But that's it. This is what's going on. I mean...
But Brannon, I'm sorry. I have to constantly repeat the name. Trump administration. Trump administration.
ما جابت النساء ولا قمط الداير والله ديب اخبار اضحيات احلى ابو محمد بالعالم
All right. That was him, though, on the stage right there, correct?
Yes.
And that was just in New York yesterday.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And who are those people in the crowd screaming and hollering?
I don't know exactly. Fans, supporters, some of the Syrian American presidents of NGOs and nonprofit organizations and mosques.
What do you make of David Petraeus, the former CIA director? When and where was this? You've seen this? Have you seen this, Annie? When and where was this?
Given how devastated Syria has been by the terrible civil war of well over a decade, how do you intend to achieve your vision for Syria? And what do you seek from the United States and the West to help you achieve that?
There has been a severance of relationship between Syria and the United States over the past time. However, the collapse of the former regime gave a new opportunity as a new historical phase. The region has suffered over 60 years, especially over the past 40 years and over the last 14 years of the civil war. Now there has been a historical transition that gave an opportunity in the region. There has been shared interest between Syria and the West and the United United States in the current phase. And if we would like to talk, if we use the language of shared interest, there's a lot of principles that the U.S. and Syria share, and the West in general. I'd like to avoid that Syria only looks for relationships and friendship and donations, but we try to break the restrictions. We have to lift the restrictions and lift the sanctions put on Syria, because these sanctions were put because of the regime of Howse al-Assad since 1979, even before we were born, because that was a country that fostered terrorism and such. These sanctions, specifically the Caesar law that was pushed by the American Congress on the former regime because it had tortured and violated human rights on its people. It had committed many violations against the Syrian people. But this is a former regime. This is past. So therefore, these sanctions have to be lifted. And if these sanctions remain with the old regime collapse, then they'll be targeting the people and not the regime, the former regime. I think Syria deserves a new opportunity at life, and Mr. President Donald Trump took a bold decision to lift the sanctions speedily, but it is still pending at the Congress, and the Congress also has to push to better the situation in Syria, because the Syrian people have suffered over the last decades, and the sanctions should not remain because it causes a burden on the people who've already suffered.
Okay, what do you make of the former CIA director, David Petraeus, sitting there with him? I think this just also happened in the last day or so.
No, this was today.
This was today.
It was today. So this is a summit by Concordia, which is a nonprofit organization. It was founded in 2011, supposedly bipartisan, mainly covering, they do their annual summit right before the UN Assembly. Today was their second day. I think tomorrow is their last day or something like that. They supposedly just covered democracy, economy, human rights and things like that. What better way to represent human rights than have a jihadist with thousands of innocent Christian blood on his hand, right?
And
Perfect sample.
There's Emmanuel Macron shaking his hand, the president of Syria.
Did you watch his speech, Macron's speech at UN?
No, I didn't.
I'm on your show. I need to watch my language. He announced the official recognition of the state of Palestine during his UN speech.
I'm going to bring it up.
And he actually said, I want to be very clear. I'm losing my voice. I want to be very clear that recognizing Palestine state does not take anything away from Israel. And I'm like, so did you find it?
Yep. Here we go.
The time has come.
C'est pourquoi,
This is why,
fidèle à l'engagement
to the
historique de mon pays
historic
au
commitment
Proche-Orient,
of my country
pour
to
la
the Middle
paix
East,
entre le peuple israélien
to peace
et
between
le peuple palestinien,
Israelis and the Palestinians,
je déclare
this is why
que la France
I
reconnaît
declare that
aujourd'hui
today
l'État de
France
Palestine.
recognizes the state of Palestine.
Well, there you go.
Historic? When? Like, show me the historical fact about France. Or, yeah, when? When is their historical duty? I mean, on some of the samples I have on my Substack, I bring France into playing a role in dividing borders. No, your historical duty is to create more chaos in Middle East, be more anti-Jew, and cash in while all of that goes on. Yeah, that's the thing. I informed my audience, which is a small portion of a shared audience with yours, that next 7 days, my Substack is going to be busy. I'm going to have my eyes. no matter who wants to report on what, my eyes are going to be on UN General Assembly. This is where Palestine is going to walk away as a country by end of the 30th of September. And watch as everything flips after that. Watch as flames get bigger and bigger in Israel, Golan Heights, Gaza border, and then later on in London, France, Canada, Portugal. Portugal also joined. Australia joined. And then United States of America.
But President Trump is saying we're not going to recognize a Palestinian state, right? Mike Huckabee has been very strong about that, right? Is Mike Huckabee going to be forced to resign?
President Trump is very against officially acknowledging a state of Palestine, but he has no problem with Jelani getting a visa and coming to America. Give me a break.
What you're saying is the two don't jive.
No. And there will be a time. Actually, I never thought I would say this out loud or in my own head. President Trump allowing Jelani in this country today was a more dangerous move than UK, France, Canada, Australia, and Portugal acknowledging the state of Palestine.
Why?
Why? Number one, President Trump just showed the entire world that you can be a bloodthirsty jihadist. If you play with my rules, I give you a nice Armani suit, I call you a good-looking guy, and I get you a visa to come into New York. That is a dangerous move. And this man still has 3 years of power in United States. How many more jihadists do you think are going to put on a nice suit, do a good haircut, good looking to Trump to start coming in?
Do you think that this is a foreshadowing of a President Trump recognizing a Palestinian state, or maybe if not officially recognizing it, doing things that send a signal without official recognition? And do you think it's going to eventually lead someone like a Mike Huckabee to find, the old thing they do is, I got to spend more time with my family. Do you think eventually he'll be like, I can't stay here as ambassador of the United States to Israel, I've got to go? Because he's been very strong about this. I mean, what is Mike Huckabee thinking today, you think?
Well, before I answer the Mike Huckabee, let me say this. No, this was a divide and conquer. Europe and Canada will take the headline by recognizing the state of Palestine. Trump will take the headline by allowing Jelani in. They're both the same move, but Trump preferred to take this one.
And is this how does this play? Let's play devil's advocate. How does this play? Are they trying to separate Syria from Russia, from Iran? What's the play here?
In Trump's mind, or in the globalist mind, or in the red-green axis
all
mind?
The above.
Because we have three. Okay.
Go
in
ahead.
Trump's mind, he just made a great chess move, got his hands on treasures of Syria, and he's going to leave a legacy of bettering our economy and making more peace in the Middle East by shaking hands with Jelani and giving him a government.
Okay, by the way, when you say, are you saying we're going to get America will get some hands on some of the minerals in Syria, which of course
we already made a deal.
Okay, so we can add those to our tokenization. So remember, if we're trying to build this spreadsheet and come up with $600 trillion in hard assets to offset our 37 trillion of debt on record, off record together 200 trillion. But who cares? Who cares about 200 trillion if your total assets are 600 trillion, right? So is Trump trying to boost his tokenization balance sheet of hard assets between Syria and the deal we cut with Ukraine and Pakistan and all these things? So is that what this is in part?
Yes. Yes. That's where Trump's mind is at.
Okay, so right now he sees the economy collapsing, the dollar collapsing, de-dollarization. He comes in as the let's make a deal, art of the deal, businessman, and really economics is driving a lot of this. So in other words, our national security is largely being driven by trying to deal with the Titanic sinking here, the financial Titanic, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
that's the thing. I don't believe as mad as I am, as disappointed as I am in President Trump himself, I don't think he's doing this because he's part of Red-Green Axis.
No, of course not.
No, he's doing it because he sees light at the end of the tunnel of his presidential term. He
Well,
can save
let's,
this.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he sees that we're gonna collapse and then we're gonna be taken advantage of by these enemies. Or we can try to cut deals with some of these enemies, get some of their assets, keep our house in order, build up our military, and be financially strong. Is it one of these situations where he's saying, you know, I didn't create this mess, you know, some of it he did in his first term, you could argue, but this has been going on since 1913, the Federal Reserve and all that we've done. But hey, here it is. I'm not going to have it collapse on my watch, so I'm going to do the pragmatic thing, or what is really all I'm left with. And people aren't going to like it. There's good and bad in it, but what else are we going to do at this point?
Yes. I disagree with both of his options that he sees in front of him, but yes, I think that's where he's at.
Mm-hmm. Which really makes you wonder, what has he been told? Because President Trump, I don't think, is a guy that reads a lot of books, right? He's a give me a one-page briefing, right? And a lot of CEOs and guys are like that. I mean, there are CEOs that devour books, love books, but there are different personality types. I think President Trump is the kind of guy that's not going to sit down and read a book cover to cover. He's more of a, give me a one-page briefing. All right, let's go do it. No, I don't want to do that. Yes, I want to do that. Who do we get now to go do this? Put the team together, go do it. So what can you imagine? They walked into the Oval Office and said, Mr. Trump, on his first or second day in office, or briefing him as president-elect the second time, here's where we're going, and this is what's going to happen on your watch. What do you think they said was going to happen on his watch if he didn't do these things?
Aside collapse of economy,
yeah,
every city facing Islamic Jihad.
So we're going to go in and we're going to cut deals with them to appease them. Really what we're paying them is jizya, are we not?
We are paying them jizya, exactly.
Explain what that is to the average listener. I mean, our audience is very smart. A lot of them know, but we're always adding new people.
Of course, jizya is Islamic protection money. So if you're considered a dhimmi, meaning you're a second-class citizen under protection of Islamic government of any size, either a Christian, a Zoroastrian, a Jew, you're required to pay the jizya, which is the protection money.
So it's like the mafia saying, you pay us so much a month, we'll stop the criminals from burning down your building.
Or ourselves burning down your building.
Well, that's
yes.
what they mean. That's what it is. But they always say, we'll provide you with protection so that the bad people don't hurt you. They are the bad people. They will hurt you if you don't pay them. This is the Islamic model of jizya, right?
Exactly. That's literally just now. If you look at the Islamic translation from the muftis, they will call it Islamic tax, but that tax is protection money. It is not a required tax by Muslims themselves. It is a specifically put aside for dhimmis or second-class citizen, non-Muslim population under protection of Sharia.
Mm. All right. So how does this fit in then with this new counterterrorism digest that Dave Gobbett spoke about with us earlier tonight, warning about, attacks at different places? I mean, it's what you and I have been saying, multiple teams hitting multiple sites. How does this fit in? If we're paying them jizya, is no one going to bring Al-Qaeda or whoever it is to heal?
So even though we are paying them jizya, there are so many fine prints, Brannon, that comes with jizya. It's not even funny. There are too many fine prints. That being said, remember, very recently we made Afghanistan extremely upset. The land of Al-Qaeda. We made them very upset when we went in to make a deal with Pakistan without including Afghanistan. Afghanistan turned around, Taliban turned around, made a deal with China and brought Pakistan into it. So Pakistan's benefiting from our deal and the deal with China and Taliban. Now, there's a longer list of where we stepped over our bounds and approved the steps. when it comes to dealing with Muslim countries or Islamic countries. So there is still that element that they can come and attack us as they see fit, because we have broken so many of the parts of the agreement as far as their end is concerned. I think it was 5 years ago when there was a rumor, a lot of conservative anti-jihad movement talkers out there were like, ISIS is done, we got ISIS, da-da-da-da. I was the only one out there saying, ISIS is not done, it will never be done, nobody's ever going to finish any of these Islamic groups. And today I will say the same thing. No one is going to end any of these Islamic terror groups, from Hamas and IRGC to Taliban and ISIS-K and Al-Qaeda and the rest of them. No government is going to stop them. Why would they, Brannon? Seriously, why would anybody stop these Islamic terror groups? Western countries the governments are benefiting, the corporations are benefiting, and people are pretty much comfortably walking around in denial. And when the attack does happen, there is still numb. They don't even react anymore. Did you know last week you had me on your show to report on an unreported terrorist attack that, by grace of God, the bomb didn't go off? Did you know as of right now, the mugshots still has not been publicized? Did you know FBI has not released any information, including the investigation, on their website about it yet? Did you know even Kash Patel hasn't tweeted about it yet?
Wow.
We're at a point where we cover up as much as we can, and when the bomb does go off, we make sure to say it was a lone wolf, mental disease, mental health crisis, transgender, leftist, all of that.
So what is the time frame for these attacks they're talking about? Do you have a time frame? I know David likes to say when they're ready, that's when they'll do it. He doesn't like giving time frame, but I think you said 2025 still, right?
Well, I did say 2025, and I want to say this because I did mention it to you off air, and you were okay with me saying it on air. The malfunction bomb that happened on not last Friday, the Friday before that, matched my original timeline when I said not Iran, I said the Islamists are going to wait for their Muharram, the sacred month of calendar that they're not supposed to attack. They're going to wait that out, and then to 30 to 60 days after that, they're going to come out with an attack. This plot that the bomb didn't go off fit in that timeline that I put out in Utah. No, I didn't locate it in Utah, but I just want to say you didn't hear about it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
As far as this Al-Qaeda talk that's going on, by the way, I wanted to address that. I said I'll address it later, and then I forgot. You mentioned that FBI is talking about, Al-Qaeda movements. They actually have a chart of this, what they did back then. This is their pattern. I strongly believe that whatever is coming is actually not an Al-Qaeda movement. Al-Qaeda is going to be the fall guy, depending on which Middle Eastern country we have decided to go after. Just like we went after Iraq when Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Kuwait attacked us on September 11th. So they're spreading the Al-Qaeda name around, but I don't believe the warning coming their way is from Al-Qaeda. I strongly believe, from hearing what I'm hearing on the other side of the languages, IRGC is getting ready to wake up their sleeper cells that are attached to Hezbollah in America.
Why do they want to blame it on Al-Qaeda instead of IRGC?
Brannon, you don't really expect Trump administration. Trump proudly bragged about saving Khamenei's life. You think they're going to let IRGC take your blame after us saving their boss's life? That would look
Plus,
terrible.
he's still trying to negotiate a deal with him of some kind, isn't he?
Exactly. But it would look terrible if we came out and said, guess what? IRGC Hezbollah trained sleeper cells did it. Every American, including hardcore MAGA members who cover up for Trump all day long, will be like, maybe if you didn't save Khamenei's life, he would be safe today.
And he did say that on video, that he saved his life.
not only on video, he put it on his Truth Social saying, I just saved this guy's life. Why is he so mean to me? I wasn't expecting a thank you, but why is he so mean to me? Which I actually was I was shaking my head like, what did you expect from Khamenei? Do you know who Khamenei? I don't even know if he knew who he's saving at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but that's just my personal opinion.
As a former Iranian and an expert on this, someone who speaks Farsi, tracks their social media and everything, you know what you're talking about. You've been tracking this. You know who this guy is. You know him well.
And I really want to mention the date and time of all these countries formally acknowledging the state of Palestine is no accident either. It is not an accident. They do need a little bit of a calm down moment in Gaza border because the focus is shifting to America. And by day, I'm going to be specific, IRGC and Hezbollah. When fire is too hot at Gaza, IRGC and Hezbollah, they're Houthis and Hezbollah, they have to be very much concentrating to help Hamas. They need a minute because they're going to take the heat elsewhere. But watch as Al-Qaeda will take the fault.
There it is. Britain just crowned Palestine at liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. You can read a lot of her other articles there on the homepage as well. She also has a studio where she makes handmade art herself, lutfstudio.com, lutfstudio.com. And Annie, looking forward to having you here as a vendor at our National Worldview Weekend, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th.
I am definitely looking forward to it. I know I'm going to learn a lot, so I'm excited.
Looking to having you with us. Annie, checking in tonight, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Now, folks, where else are you going to get programming like this? We work long hours, 7 days a week, and we need your support. We are a listener-supported network. Would you please go right now to worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Make a contribution so we can keep pushing programming like this out free of charge as a public service broadcast ministry to help people understand the times, the various worldviews, and how we should respond. We need your support now. Please, if you can, worldviewfoundation.com. We'll be right back after this break.
Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.